Make sure you are following our Miami Dolphins Instagram right now. The handle is at Dolphins Today IG. And if you didn't get your question featured on this mailbag, well, when we reach 500 followers on our Instagram handle, we're going to be doing a Dolphins Q&A on our Instagram. So follow us over there. You get content in between each video on YouTube. You're only going to be more informed, so go follow us on Instagram. All right, I am Nic Rohloff. Welcome into Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, where we are doing a rumors mailbag. Like I said, if you missed it, follow us on IG, but we are live every Tuesday answering your questions. We had some great questions this week, starting with our guy, Frank O'Connor, the legend himself, who sent in a $50 super chat saying, if we could make a trade for a right guard with any team, who would you shoot for? There's a lot of speculation on who we talked to. Some of the people in the live chat during the week said Cole Strange from New England. Probably pass on that because of how injury prone he is. But the guy that I could have in mind is actually Nate Davis, the right guard for the Chicago Bears. He signed a 3-year deal with Chicago last season in free agency. Was a bit of a disappointment for the Bears in year one. Was on and off the field. Could never really stay there. Left due to a personal reason at times as well. It was kind of just a chaotic mess for Nate Davis in Chicago. We'll see how he does in year two, but maybe the Bears are already looking to move off of Davis, and the Dolphins, who have a clear need at right guard, probably their only true need on this entire roster, could they swing a 5th-round pick to the Bears for Nate Davis if they're already done with him? He was very good in Tennessee before signing with Chicago. I'd be open to taking the upside play here. The only thing is he is a little bit of an expensive contract, $10+ million a season. I don't know if Miami can fit that in their budget. Yes, I agree. We have a very crowded wide receiver room. Do you think there's a chance that even 7 wide receivers make the final roster? Who do you think makes the final cut? So twofold here from I agree. I don't think they keep 7. They just have so many other players that need to be kept. Like, because of that situation at right guard, you need to probably keep more there just in case of injuries or whoever gets the nod week 1 isn't that good. You also have some older veteran type players at corner, at offensive tackle, at safety, to where you might want to have more depth at those positions than wide receiver. So I truly believe they're going to ride with 6 guys. And if I had to give my prediction right now, in mid-June, I'm going Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Odell Beckham Jr., Malik Washington, Braxton Berrios is the number 5 due to special teams additions as well. And if I were to go number 6, I have not really given it that much thought at this point, but I'm going to go Eric Ezukama. I feel like he was on pace to have a good camp last year. He'll do it again. River Craycraft gets cut. Taj Washington to the practice squad. Chase, would you consider bringing Ryan Tannehill back to the Dolphins? My goodness. Well, it's an intriguing hypothetical as Ryan Tannehill is still out there in free agency. Obviously, out of Tennessee, the former Miami Dolphin was very good for the Titans initially with Mike Vrabel, but couldn't stay on the field over the past 2 years and just wasn't as effective. And now the Titans are fully moving forward with Will Levis. It's a question of how you feel. Like, Skylar Thompson and Mike White are fine backup quarterbacks to me. Like, the only possible scenario that Ryan Tannehill comes back to the Dolphins is if Tua were to get hurt in the training camp or early on in the season and Tannehill was still out there. Because if Tua does go down and it's like a significant injury, which pray to God it doesn't happen, this roster's too talented to just run with Skylar Thompson or Mike White. So then, yes, I would sign a veteran like Ryan Tannehill to try to lead the ship. But to be the backup quarterback, I'm actually fine rolling with either Mike White or Skylar Thompson, whoever wins the job. Do you disagree with me, though? Be honest. Would you want to re-sign Ryan Tannehill to this Dolphins roster? Type Y for yes or type N for no. He did play college wide receiver. Could he be a wide receiver? Just kidding. Frank O'Connor with a 20. Do you think Chop is going to explode onto the field once he gets his hands better? So that was one of the biggest questions with first-round pick Chop Robinson coming out of college. One was production wasn't there. Only had about 4 sacks for the Nittany Lions, 7.5 TFLs, 15 total tackles. But his first step, his bend, his athleticism is off the charts. And he always struggled when you watch the film of his hand placement when he gets to that offensive lineman just isn't great, which could allow him to be stonewalled at times while rushing the passer if he wasn't able to just use his athleticism and quickness to get around him. I do think he is improving already. He has already told the media that he 100% has improved his hand placement in the 2 months since the NFL draft. So he's only going to get better. He's only going to continue to learn under Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Shaq Barrett. And I do think he will have an impact this year for the Dolphins in year one out of Penn State. Yes, I agree. Do you think we could potentially re-sign Conor Williams to play at right guard, considering he might be cheap coming off injury too? This is a great question. Yes, I agree. And the reason why you're asking it is probably because of this report from Adam Schefter on Tuesday afternoon while we were live on Dolphins Today, saying that former Cowboys and Dolphins free agent center, who is coming off a season-ending knee injury, expects to be ready for the start of the season and is in discussion with multiple teams about where to play in 2024. He plans to pick his new team before training camp begins. And this is a bit of a stunner when it happened live because, I mean, the reports from his agent Drew Rosenhaus and him personally was that this knee injury was so significant that he suffered against the Tennessee Titans on Monday Night Football that it would probably take a longer time for him to get back and healthy. So after hearing that information, I have been projecting that he was only going to return to the football field like week 7, week 8. Like, I thought it was going to take that long. But if he's ready for the start of training camp, well, he might not be ready for the start of training camp, but if he were to be ready for the start of regular season, which would probably mean fully healthy, ready to go week 3, week 4, I would absolutely bring him in. I don't know how big his market is. I don't know how much he'd get paid. He has been terrific over the past year and a half as a center for the Dolphins. But you re-sign him for a cheap contract to play right guard, you fill that hole for Miami, and you have the best roster in the National Football League. You can take that to the bank. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, by the way, because you will get Miami Dolphins news the quickest. And say Conor Williams does sign with the Miami Dolphins and comes back home, we'll be the first to let you know about that. So turn on the notifications as well so you can get up-to-date news on the Dolphins. Chad Jones! With the signing of T.R. Tart that is, shouldn't this open up our linebacking core for a great season? So T.R. Tart, it'll be intriguing to see how he does with the Dolphins. Now, I initially had him projected as the second interior defensive lineman and as the Christian Wilkins replacement to pair up with Zach Sealer. Well, after you signed Calais Campbell a week ago, I don't think that's no longer the case. Like, Campbell can play outside as a edge rusher. He can also play inside. I think he'll play most likely over the right guard in 4-3 alignments. And that's kind of how I envision him playing for this team, or 3-4 alignments as well. So when Campbell's on the field, yes, I actually don't expect T.R. Tart to have that big of an impact anymore. Just more or less a depth piece at nose tackle or defensive tackle for the Dolphins. But yes, to answer the second part of it, Jordan Brooks and David Long Jr. should have a lot of free roam to crash the gaps of the offensive line that are left open with Sealer and Calais Campbell or Tart taking up a lot of blockers inside. O'Connor again! Do you think we could see a 3 RB lineup of a triple option with all the speed the Dolphins have? It'd be hard to cover all 3. Now, I do think there will be certain formations and fun formations where the Dolphins put out 3 running backs, whether it be Achane, Wright, and Mostert in any type of lineup where one goes to the slot, 2 in the backfield, all 3 in the backfield. Whatever type of creativity you want to throw out there, I would trust Mike McDaniel to find a different way to at least do it one time. With how all 3 dynamic are, like, you would want to try to see what they can do on the field at the same time together. Triple option, probably unlikely. Still going to want Tua in the ball game. Not going to rule it out, though, but you get Tua with those 3 running backs, 2 in the backfield, 1 in the slot, all 3 in the backfield. I think it is possible. Make sure you do get your Miami Dolphins t-shirt combo. Chatsports.com/Dolphins combo is the link. $25 off. Yes, you heard that correctly. Normally $60. On sale for $35 right now. Get yours today. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Every Noodle. Who do you think has the most underrated tape out of the rookies that Miami drafted? That's a good question. Underrated tape. How do I want to answer this? I'm not going to say Malik Washington because his tape was terrific. Chop Robinson. Honestly, you know what? I'm going to go Chop Robinson. And you might think that's crazy to answer it that way because he was the first-round pick for Miami and 21st overall. But a lot of people knocked him, me, myself included, about the lack of production at Penn State. But when you watch the film of Chop Robinson, you could just tell how disruptive he was, and you can tell how much attention he grabbed from opposing offensive lines at Penn State. So I actually think if you were to watch all the film of every Dolphins rookie, Chop Robinson might be the one that stands out to you the most and be like, damn, I really understand why he was the 21st overall pick, and I maybe should not have clowned that pick as much as I did. Jamison Avery with a question. Am I the only one excited about the Dolphins defense this year? I think they will surprise some people. No, Jamison, I'm with you. I have actually been on record saying that I think the Dolphins have a top 10 defense this year, and I expect it to be that way. I got to be honest. Like, you think about this edge group, Chop Robinson, Jack Barrett, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips. That's a really good top four. I'm bullish on Jerome Baker, Jordan Brooks, and David Long Jr. on the interior linebacker crew. Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer, a really good duo. You got Marcus May as depth. The one thing that I'm concerned about is the cornerback depth. Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller are elite on the boundary together, but Nick Needham, Cam Smith as their backups, there's question marks there. Also have Kader Kohu in the nickel. But I really think this is a good defense. I'm also really high on Anthony Weaver as a first-time DC coming from Baltimore. I think it's a really good team on paper, and I'd expect this defense to be top 10 in the NFL. What year did you become a Dolphins fan? Excellent question here by myself and Jack Lotteray. What year did you become a Dolphins fan? Shout it out for me down in the comment section. Yes, I agree. Hashtag Dolphins. Any surprise cuts do you think could happen? Some potential ones I think are Jeff Wilson, Eric Azukama. Well, I do actually agree with you, Jeff Wilson and Eric Azukama. I've often kind of speculated that it could be possible the Dolphins cut one of the two quarterbacks, whether it be Mike White or Skylar Thompson. If I had to predict which one, I actually would lean Mike White. It saves you about $3 million in cap space. So if you wanted to sign a Conor Williams or just add more cap space going into the season, Mike White could be a casualty because I'm comfortable having Skylar Thompson as the backup QB with Gavin Hardison, the UDFA out of UTEP, who I'm kind of sneaky high on being your practice squad guy. But Mike White, if he doesn't get claimed by a different team, you could bring him back on your P squad as well. I think he is someone that could be a surprise cut candidate. If you want another crazy one, with the sign Calais Campbell, Val Gallimore might not make this roster, but probably good to keep 4 defensive linemen. But if Gallimore doesn't have a good training camp, he could be out. Every Noodle. Speaking of reunions, could we bring back Jarvis Juice Landry? I appreciate Jarvis Landry for everything he did for the Miami Dolphins in the 2010s, and he was absolutely terrific. One of my favorite wide receivers I've ever watched play on the Miami Dolphins. Also fantasy football legend if you played PPR. But no, he is over the hill. He is cooked, and we've talked about how insane the Dolphins' depth is at wide receiver right now. Don't think it would make sense to add another guy to this room. So sorry, Jarvis Landry. As much as it would be nice to have you on this team when this Dolphins group tries to go for a Super Bowl, this doesn't make any sense. All right, that will do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you missed this mailbag live, well, it might be because you're not subscribed. So hit that sub button and join us for our live shows on a weekly basis every Tuesday. I'm Nic Rohloff. See you on a video tomorrow. Go Fins.